Hi guys, how are you doing? It's Elaine Bintz, fitness coach and nutritionist. Today's video, I will introduce our May challenge. So just as a reminder, if you're just tuning in and you weren't aware of our April challenge, what I'm doing, I'm in the process of a series of videos. So I started this last month, so we're in the year 2024. So if you're just catching up, you might want to check out the last two April videos because I did videos explaining these skills. So as a nutritionist and a nutrition coach, we follow certain coaching programs. And one of the programs I follow is Precision Nutrition's Essentials of Nutrition Coaching, which I finally finished this certification. I had been working on it for 3 years. So I started in 2021 and I just finished it this spring in 2024. So it was great, a lot of good content. The textbook, the chapters were great. The online modules were great. So for someone like me, I have a bachelor's degree and I studied nutrition in 2004 is when I graduated. And as most of you know, not only clients, but everyday population, the nature and the information involved with nutrition and dietetics, and one day the egg is good, one day the egg is bad. So in 20 years, the landscape of nutrition has really changed. So it was great for me to do this continuing education course in order to brush up on diets and just changes, different like weight loss medications, things like that. So of course we have continuing education we have to do every year to maintain our credentials. But to do an in-depth program was really great for me so that I could review all the basics. So that's where we're starting today. So for April, our goal for the month, so each month I've had a goal in 2024. So the goal for April was to work on the nutrition skills of planning, prioritizing, and preparing. So that's the first skill. And then second skill we're going to do in the month of May is regulating eating behaviors. And there's a total of 9 skills that we're going to focus on. So each month what I'm doing is I'm breaking down each of these skills into action items or things you can actually practice in your everyday life. So that's why I encourage you, if you are just tuning in and you're just getting exposed to this series, check out my YouTube channel. It's my name, just Elaine Bintz. So Elaine Bintz. And then you can look at the April videos so that you can practice the skill number 1. And these are compounding skills, so they build on each other. Of course, you can utilize different skills each month, but if you are just starting out and you're really trying to improve your diet, I highly suggest you start with the April skill of planning, prioritizing, and preparing, because you're always going to do this. So these nutrition skills, you're always going to be doing this ongoing. And know that when I say beginner, I'm going to be a beginner for life. So anytime there's going to be a life change, whether you're in your 40s and you are having hormonal changes, or you're going through menopause, or you had a baby and your body has now changed, you're a beginner. Say you changed where you live, you moved to a different country, or you were a college athlete and you're coming out of college and now you're working at a desk job and you're in a sedentary position. So when I say beginner, I mean that these skills for a basic level 1 or beginner in the world of nutrition is most of us, I would say 90% of people I work with in my coaching practice, we are refining these skills. Okay, so let's get to the second skill, which is regulating eating habits. Okay, or eating behaviors. So first off, I want to take a few minutes and break down some of this terminology because sometimes there's assumptions that are made, and I want to make sure that I take a few minutes here to explain this. So the first part of this skill for me is to regulate. So what does regulate mean? It's something that is regular either you get in the habit or you don't feel like this is so hard. You kind of get an idea of what works for you and gets you in the body or the body weight you want to be in. Or say you're managing like a chronic condition like high blood pressure, and you've kind of figured out your medication, you've figured out, the sodium or the salt in your diet. So regulating is making things regular, so they are not so sporadic or up or down, and you've established some habits. And the second part, eating, is we are human. We have to eat. So unless you are like going, you're going out in space, astronauts, they do have different food. I've had clients in the military, and depending on where they're stationed, they might be eating a different type of like a prepackaged food. But a lot of people that I work with, especially in Northwest Indiana and online all over the United States, they are eating fresh food that is either coming from a grocery store or like a meal delivery service. And then the third part of this is behaviors. Okay, so let's break down behaviors a little bit. So anybody that has done anything in the world, especially of athletics, and not just athletics, but if you've graduated from college, if you've gone through any sort of training, vocational training, anything, online training, you've become a hairstylist, anything that requires you to attain a particular skill. So what we're going over here are skills. Anything you think that you can do, you can do. It's a skill. It's something you can develop. So oftentimes I'll hear from coaching clients is like, well, that's not what we do, or that's not how I grew up, or I don't have any exposure to this. And that's okay. That's where we're starting. That's where you are today. But the point is you can learn these skills. These are measurable skills that you can see. What did you do last week, and how much did you eat for breakfast yesterday? How did you feel after you ate dinner last night or the night before or Sunday? Or how did you feel when you slept in an extra hour? So all of these nutrition skills or eating skills, know that you have the power to decide, I want to work on XYZ. I want to work on this particular habit, and know that you can work on it just like any other skill. So if you've graduated high school, or you've gone to cosmetology school, or you've become an electrician, all of those careers or anything that required you to attain something, you had to practice skills along the way in order to become better at it. So the assumption here is that if you have never learned, I have a degree in nutrition, and I read and I study these journal articles. I don't expect anyone to be doing that in their everyday life unless they're in the field of wellness, specifically in the world of nutrition. So I would assume most people, they don't know this stuff. They don't read articles on omega-3s, or L-carnitine. This is not something they would do for fun. But you can develop the practical skill of regulating your eating habits. So then the question is, how do you attain these behaviors? So a behavior has a purpose. So why? So for example, like say I'm in a coaching session and a client says to me, I have this habit of late night eating. So my job is to listen and gather information and to kind of break down with the person in front of me, okay, can you tell me more about this behavior? Because the behavior has a purpose. So why? So you say that, okay, I have this habit. So is this habit useful? We have a 6-year-old. He's growing and developing. He probably eats within the hour of going to bed every night because he always says that he's hungry. He's in a healthy weight. He's active. He doesn't get sick often. So for him in that stage of growth and development, I would say it's okay that he would eat late at night if he's having some sort of a healthy snack within the hour of going to bed. So in your particular situation, is the late night eating, for example, if you're somebody in front of me and said, okay, well, I have this habit. Well, does this habit affect you? Are you waking up with acid reflux? Do you have heartburn when you lay down? So is whatever habit you're having, what is the result of that behavior? And then diving into that. And then this in the coaching world can go into any habit, whether it's taking your medication on a regular basis, taking your supplements, if you have a vitamin deficiency, any of your diagnosis, if you have irritable bowel syndrome, celiac disease, any of the symptoms or conditions or diseases that would require a dietary change, first is we ask is what's the purpose? What's the purpose of the behavior? So action. So how can you actually work on this? Okay. So how can you regulate your eating behaviors? So first is to eat slowly. So one of the things that I will encourage clients in the beginning, if we're just starting to work together, is to pay attention to your pace. Are you eating your lunch in under 5 minutes? Did you taste it? Did you get to feel the textures in your mouth? Do you know the seasonings, the flavors? Did you like the meal? Did it taste good? Did it meet your needs? If you ate lunch at 1 p.m., did you have a crash at about 3 or 4, 2 to 3 hours later? Was the meal very high in carbohydrates or sugar? So we want to know what you're doing and how you are eating. One of the big keys to help you with having a healthy eating habit is to slow down your pace. So if you're sitting eating a meal, usually 20 minutes is a good amount of time. And I know depending on your career, and I have clients that travel or they're in sales and they're busy, to take 20 minutes is really hard. So maybe that particular career, they do a couple of snacks during the day and then maybe eat a better breakfast or dinner or both breakfast and dinner. Another action is to enjoy your food. So for example, depending on your culture, like I'm Irish, I love potatoes, I'm Italian, I love pasta, I really enjoy lasagna, I love lasagna. I don't eat it very frequently, but I want to actually enjoy food. I want my clients to be able to have their cultural food or their favorite foods in moderation. So if you like sauerkraut or dumplings, or depending on what your family history is, it is important to incorporate your cultural eating habits into your lifestyle, especially when you're considering like religion and fasting and these sorts of things, is to actually enjoy your food, because chances are if you eat slowly and you enjoy your food, you may consume less calories or the appropriate amount of calories for your body. Another action is to stop eating when you're full. And this goes hand in hand with how I raise my son Victor. He is a child, and typically, unless there is some sort of a disorder, whether it's in the hypothalamus or in the GI tract, kids are usually pretty good about regulating when they're full. So I highly encourage you, if you have kiddos, is to, when you are teaching them about eating and they're sitting at the table or eating a meal or lunch or breakfast, whatever they're doing or having a snack, is to stop eating when they're full. So one tip is, if your child is overweight and needs to lose fat weight, is to feed your child high fiber foods first. So for example, if they're hungry and they need a snack and it's not quite a mealtime, offer them a banana that is a high fiber food before giving them like some sort of a gummy sugary treat or like goldfish crackers. And the reason is because the fiber will expand in their stomach and will fill them up, and depending on their appetite, that might hold them over until the next meal. So definitely, this is the same for adults, is stop eating when you're full, because that's like an internal physiological cue to tell your body, I've had enough, I'm satisfied. And then hopefully, if you're following that protocol, you're not going to need to eat for a few hours or maybe 4 or 5 hours, depending on your eating schedule, as you regulate your eating habits. And then the last one I want to focus on, I know this is becoming a lengthy video, thank you guys, is to attune or become close to or understand or get into the rhythm of how you feel after eating. So attunement to how you feel. So this is a question I get a lot as a nutrition coach, is, do I need to cut gluten from my diet? Okay, this is just an example of one. So do you have an allergy? 1, have you had allergy testing? And then 2, how do you feel after eating foods with gluten? So you don't necessarily need a diagnosed food allergy in order to reduce or eliminate a food from a diet if the food doesn't make you feel good after. This is very common with dairy products. So I'll have clients often tell me, like, I've noticed I can only handle eating so much, like cheese and lasagna or pizza or just in general nachos or something that has a high dairy content. And as we get older, that enzyme that breaks down cheese or dairy products, lactase, we produce less and less of it with each decade of life. So that's a natural human trait that's in our biology, so our DNA. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have lactose intolerance or that you are dairy intolerant, but rather that maybe your body could handle before like 5 slices of pizza. But as you've gotten older and your GI tract is older, your enzymes are older, your digestive enzymes maybe aren't working as efficiently as they were 30 years ago. Maybe you can only tolerate maybe 2 or 3 slices of pizza at one sitting, and then digesting that and giving your body time to break down the dairy in your diet. So the biggest thing I would say to take away from the month of May, please try to implement these actions into your life. Really pay attention to how you feel. This is a perfect time of year. Spring, heading into summer, a lot of people are looking forward to vacations, getting in a bathing suit. They're starting to think about their summer wardrobe, shorts, dresses, things like that. Really pay attention to how you feel when you eat, and then try to reflect on what is working well for you. So again, this is Elaine Bintz, fitness coach, nutritionist. I want you guys to have a great May. Happy Mother's Day and happy Memorial Day. Thank you everybody for your service, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.